Tye Juarez with the Petrodex.com.
Thank you for joining the program today. Petrodex.com. What is that?
So the Petrodex is kind of a new thing. It's got a lot of things encompassing in it, so I'll just kind of go little by little and just try to ease it in there. So basically what the Petrodex is at its core is a local business directory, business-to-business sales marketplace, and service networking website, all combined in one online platform. So at its core, we designed this website to connect oil and gas service companies in the Permian Basin, where I'm originally from. Our lead and inquiry system works within the business directory that's integrated in the Petrodex. So within this business directory, we invite Permian Basin oil and gas companies to come in and list. We have over 30 service categories, and within those categories, we have about 227 specialties. So, an example of this would be, artificial lift. And within artificial lift, we have, sucker rods, ESP pumps, all the things that go into artificial lift. So every business that lists on there can go do and actually drill down to exactly what their specialty is. And the reason we do that is because of the lead generation system. So when I worked in the oil and gas industry, I was a cement service supervisor for about 6 years. And what I would do is, of course, pump cement down in the wells for, new wells that are being drilled, and also for the remedial wells. One day, I just happened to go out on a job, and I had this, I was working for this company man who happened to be an independent consultant, and he had just moved down to the Permian from the Bakken area. So, he was getting started. He was trying to, get established and stuff like that, and happened to land a contract with an oil company to oversee a remedial well. We had an issue trying to get water out there, just, get some fresh water out there so I can mix the cement, pump the job. Basically, the only thing he had was a handful of business cards in his pocket with, some water companies. And after he exhausted all of them, he's like, well, that's about all the contacts I have. And in which I was like, well, I don't have any, I don't know any water companies, but, let me get with the guys back at the office and we can get you connected. And after that, me and the guy that I was working with at that point were kind of thinking, why is there not, a directory where we can just go and find services, stuff that we need? It takes multiple service companies to drill and maintain wells. Why is there not somewhere where we could just go and just basically search in the search engine and find out what we need and get relevant results for our area? And this was back in 2013. Now, from that, we started kind of messing around, tossing the idea up. At the time, me and the guy that I was talking with, we had no technical expertise. We're just oil men. We had nothing. We had no background in tech or anything like that. So we started kicking around the idea and be like, that would be cool. We should develop it. And, little by little, we kind of just started talking about it. And that lasted up until about 2015 in the downturn. In 2015, it started slowing down a lot. And from there, we had to really kind of focus on our work. And, unfortunately, some of the guys that we were working with ended up having to, move away or move to North Dakota and stuff like that to go find work. And then we just kind of shelved the project from there. Now, after the downturn, I started looking into it again. It kind of came back up. I actually had to leave working in the fields. I have an old war injury, and I'm getting a little older, and doing that stuff was kind of tough on my body. And of course, being away from the family is a tough thing also. So I ended up going back to school. I learned how to code. I started working on it, kind of starting to get back into it. And as of last week, we did our first early access, our first early access launch, and we went live last week. So yeah, we're live. It's a real thing, and we're just trying to get everybody, introduced to what the platform does for them. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Sorry, I was writing in my notes. You were one of those stories that we were doing a few years ago, where people were reinventing themselves during the downturn. Some people had to go back to school, go back to training. I mean, the Bakken, for example, just like the Permian, is hiring everybody except for you got to be really qualified in certain areas. So, I mean, there is certain training and certain schooling that needs to be done. So a lot of these jobs they're talking about that are available, well, there's not enough people actually certified to do those.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so you got to reinvent yourself a little bit. But you did really a real reinvention where you went to a completely different industry, but then you brought that industry back to the oil and gas industry.
Correct. Yeah, I've always thought of myself as somewhat of a tech nerd. I enjoyed the products. I just didn't know how to create them. I love computers, and I like all that stuff. I had no idea how they work. I could sit there and figure out hydrostatic pressures on a well, but how this computer works, I have no idea.
Well, I used to be in publishing, and so I'm self-taught. I'm totally self-taught. Adobe Suites. I used to know how to code. I was self-taught because I used to pull the language off of the source, the source code from websites, and I used to. From scratch back in the late 90s, back when like GeoCities and Angel Fire were the hot websites. I would do my fantasy football site. I would code it, and it was actually pretty cool because I'd pirate JavaScripts and stuff. It was a total patchwork deal. But you had to take marbles. And I went on ESPN and I grabbed all the photos of the football players, and then you drop the marble into a black hole, and that's how you submit your starting lineup. And so, pretty advanced for 1999. You know what I mean? But then I realized really quickly though that this is a full-time job to understand how to make websites, to understand how to keep up with code. Well, first of all, what people don't understand about code is it is a different language. It's just like learning Spanish. It's just like learning Italian. It's a completely different language because at the end of the day, it's just symbols that create meanings. So, not to get too deep here, but
the best way I can explain it is, when you look at it on screen, it just looks like hieroglyphics.
And which, by the way, we're going back to with emojis. We are literally 3 years from
circle.
Oh, totally. We're less than 10 years from Idiocracy. The Rock is going to be the next president, so the professional wrestler president's going to be there, and we're going to be at emojis, so our language is going to be completely backwards too.
We're definitely headed that way.
Well, sure. Honestly, it's getting to be a little bit crazy out there in today's world is polarizing. So that's why actually the Crude Life and the Multimedia Cafe and a lot of the shows we do have done very well with our non-political approach to give people a nice outlet to have a civil conversation and have some fun and not be afraid they're going to get attacked by saying, sometimes I like to go fishing. Well, you hate oil. It's just like, wow. The other day I was tying my shoe and somebody was attacking me. You're a Republican. Look at you tie your shoe. It's like, what's going on here? So
as soon as I mutter the oil and gas word over here in Austin, it's like they imagine I'm twirling my mustache and waxing it and just thinking of ways I could just destroy the world like I'm some Captain Planet villain or something like that.
It's funny you say that because I actually this is a true story. I actually ordered a belt, a WWE Brock Lesnar UFC belt. It's the same company that makes these belts, and it's like $5,000. It's expensive, and it's actually going to have the planet Earth on it, and it's going to say the Earth's champion, and we're going to actually go around the country to barbecues, to trade shows, to high schools, and we're going to explain how the oil and gas industry is the leaders in saving the planet right now. And that's no joke. That's no joke at all. At first it started out as like a Stephen Colbert bit, but then it turned out to be like a Stephen Colbert bit, which was, no, actually this is real. Because if you get behind something with passion, because the Stephen Colbert thing, he wasn't a right-wing Republican. He was just a very passionate Republican. And so it came out as, extremist, but he was just very passionate about it to where it almost became his ridiculous passion became the truth. And so that's how I backdoored into this, because I'm going, when I take a look at the engineering that's been done, I mean, you say take from refineries to even coal, just energy industry, the whole concept that the energy industry is going, and the fact that they're investing and they're not just pointing fingers to me, says they are the leaders. So actually, we ordered a belt. It's called the Earth's Champion, and we're going to go around explaining how, the rig mats are saving the planet because they keep and protect the roots of the fauna. And they prevent spills. And look at you. You're getting excited. You like the Earth's Champion, huh?
Yeah, dude. I'm totally down to take a picture with the belt and be one of the Earth's Champion. I mean, and it's just one of the things, unless you're in it, I mean, the community, what attracted me to come back to the oil and gas industry is the community. I mean, we're good people. I mean, we benefit. We give back to the community, and it's made up of the community, and it doesn't matter if you're, the Schlumberger or the GE or the Baker Hughes companies down to the mom and pops who just have one hotshot truck. We all give back to the community, and that's what it's all about,
Well, I'll tell you, honestly, that's how I got into this was in 2012, I went out to the Bakken. I was a executive producer at the #1 regional radio show for the last 3 years, and actually I won 2 national awards. And
nice.
I went out to the Bakken actually to investigate oil and gas. Not against them, but investigate because I thought,
get an inside look.
But I thought, it'd be like shooting fish in a barrel. And I thought it would end up being against them because, there was a narrative going in, no question about it. I didn't spend more than 5 minutes out in the Bakken, and I realized really quickly that the oil and gas was not the bad guys. They were giving more opportunity to more people than anyone else. And they were preserving the essence of capitalism more than any other industry. And it was so apparent within 5 minutes. And I went, oh, wow, I'm going to actually defend them? What? And they don't even need my help? Oh, my word, this is going to be really different. Seriously, because this, a lot of times in oil and gas, there is some political monies that are shifted around so that, lobbyists and yada yada can happen type of a thing. And then there's community money, that gets around too. And to me, that's the part that I really enjoyed was the amount of community investment that the oil and gas industry did, because at a time when lobbyists were growing and community dollars were shrinking, say from technology sectors, from the healthcare sectors, the oil and gas industry stepped up and said, oh, I see the local hospitals aren't investing XYZ because they now have to spend it in lobbyists to try to get tax and state dollars. I mean, people don't talk about that, to where the oil and gas industry not only pays their fair share in taxes, but they pay their fair share in local donations above and beyond anybody else.
Yeah, we invest back in the community.
Yeah, and so that was a very long-winded and almost narrative framework for me to ask, why did you go back to the oil and gas industry? It was the essence of capitalism and just the consistent opportunity to everybody that the industry provides. That's what captures me. That's what truly does it for me. But go ahead and explain your reason why you went back to the oil and gas industry.
It's home. Like I said, I was born and raised in Odessa. Until I really understood what it was all through high school, I wanted to get out of Odessa. I wanted to leave. Every man that I knew of growing up in my family works in some way or another within the oil and gas industry. And, as a naive kid, I wanted no part of it. It was stinky. It was dirty. They work crazy hours. No, I don't want to do that. So, unfortunately, while I was in high school is when the 9/11 attacks happened. And at that point, I knew what I had to do. When that happened, I graduated high school and actually enlisted in the United States Marine Corps as an engineer, and was deployed to Iraq twice, to Fallujah twice. And I did my thing over there and, did all that. Well, while I was actually in my second deployment in 2008, I was still keeping up at that time. It was MySpace, keeping up on MySpace,
oh, wow.
With everybody back home. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. At that time it was MySpace, keeping up with everybody back home and with the friends and, my buddies, that I went to high school with were telling me, hey man, When you get done being GI Joe over there, you should come over here and take a look at the oil and gas industry. He's like, dude, we're doing good. I mean, our families are good. This is good work, man. You should really look into it. And so, that's when I started, okay, well, maybe I should go home and, take a look at this. And, of course, once I was done with my service time, I ended up going back home. And of course, from there, I went straight into the oil and gas industry. I started driving trucks. I got my CDL. I was originally started with BJ, which, got, bought out by Baker Hughes later on. And then from there, that was just, from being in the rigs, I just fell in love with it. The people, the work, the camaraderie between brothers, it's not unlike that of the Marines. It's pretty much the same thing. We roll out together, we go run our missions, we keep an eye out for each other, the safety aspects there. It's very addicting, and I really enjoyed it. Now, of course, I did that for, the 6 years. And then once, the downturn came, I knew it was time for me I'm not that young man anymore. I can't be out there doing that field work. And, it's like, well, what else do I love? Well, I love technology. I'd love to learn how to, I'd love to get into technology. And of course, this Petrodex thing was already being kicked around in my head. And this is just our way of merging what I love about technology and bringing it back to the oil and gas industry and making something that we can call our own, and that's what this is about. This is about, getting the business members, specifically we're looking to bring in those mom and pop hotshot companies. We're looking to bring in those new guys who, broke away from the bigger companies and got their money together, bought a pump truck, and are out there trying to, make a name for themselves. That's who we built this for. It's a way for them to get their name out there, get exposure, and really tell people what they do. Anybody can go on the petrodex.com. Like I said, whether you're the big company or the small team of guys who have one flatbed trailer and out there trying to hustle and get their side of make their money. That's who this is for. On here, the base of it, just to work the lead generation, to start receiving leads and stuff like that, that is always going to be 100% free. That's something that we're never going to put a money cap on. Once you're on here, once you're listed, you can start receiving leads for absolutely no money. And the way that works is people looking for any service. It can be anything. I mean, you could be looking for a part, drill bit, pipe. Hell, if you want oil field rig catering, that's on here also. You go to the petrodex.com. You fill out one inquiry sheet, which is actually on our homepage. There towards the middle. Fill that out. And what that does is once that inquiry is filled and you actually drill down, it has an area where you can pick your service category and what specialization, what you're looking for. And we even have Google Maps integrated in the form. So even if you're in the middle of nowhere off of some rig, some lease pad, the business members will be able to find you and, help you out or deliver, do whatever they need to do exactly where you're at. So we have the Google Maps integration in this. They fill out this lead sheet. It comes to us at the Petrodex. We vet it. We make sure, it's a legitimate lead. And then from there, we distribute it to our members. Now, from there, what the members decide to do with it, whether they want to pursue it or, contact the person who submitted the lead and get more information, that's all between them. I don't take anything in between. There's no middleman fee. There's nothing like that. All we want to do is bring people together. And this is, like I said, if they're trying to get out there, they're trying to make a name for themselves, this is one of the easiest way to do it. I mean, you can manage it as much as you want. If you want to be on the Petrodex and you want to put, your media, if you want to put photos, videos, if you want to sell your products, whatever it may be, whatever you invest in it, I mean, that's up to you. You can also just sign up if you just want to set up and just have another way to generate leads at no cost. This is also a great option. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everybody here.
I was going to ask you, one of the things that we've been talking about in this program is the industry is retiring. And this has been going on for the last several years, but basically over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, I mean, 50 to 70% of the industry is going to be retired. I mean, so they're really passing the torch on to a new generation. And there is a vetting process that's going on, whether people are openly talking about it or not. And the reason for it is they want to make sure the next generation of oil and gas professionals have a respect for the industry and how it was built, and a respect for the land and how that relationship has been coexisting for as long as it has. You've got a military background, and that's what made me think about that respect part of it, and kind of how the oil and gas industry is very much similar to a military type, not environment, but just kind of the logistical orchestration of it, if you will. Boy, I've never used those words together. Logistical orchestration. Man, I miss my writing days.
And you know what? You hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it is.
It really is, And so just talk to me a little bit about, because you seem like you're wanting to be in the industry. You came back to the industry. You're bringing a new flavor with technology and connection. And I'm on the similar path as you, connecting people. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're in the same business. We're into connecting people in the oil and gas business. And for me, I'm looking at people having the conversations that we're having, because there is this vetting process going on. There is problems in Colorado and now in Wyoming, and there is a war on oil and gas. The governor of Colorado this week uttered those words: war on oil and gas. So, boy, I just loaded this powder keg up. Talk to me a little bit about, that vetting process, how you see the industry passing that torch on, and how you see the retirement process happening. Because it's happening. It's been happening for the last 3 years, and it's going to happen for the next 4.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to go. A lot of it is innovation. We have to keep up with the times. We have to make sure that we stay relevant. And we're always going to be relevant because, it's a necessity. But, it just comes down to just knowing what we're talking about, just getting our word out there, making sure that people understand what it is that we do. We're not just out there drilling wells to drill wells. We're drilling wells to provide, to make sure that, your products are there. People don't really know how many products come from oil and gas. Pretty much every single thing in their cell phone comes from petroleum. The plastics, the oil to run your machines, the fuel in your car. We just have to make sure that we just keep talking about what we're doing. Really, I don't know. The whole political thing is tough, because it's so hard to, once these people have their minds made up of what it is, we're villainized. There's nothing we could say. The only thing we can do is show them and just be responsible and just make sure we're taking care of what we need to take care of.
Well, let me throw this at you, and I just said that. I hate when I say that, and I hate using the word hate too. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because this is another question that I've been pontificating about and getting some very good response on. So I talked to you about the belt, and I believe that the industry is actually one of the leaders, if not the leader. And I'm being totally serious. This is not a political thing. This is just a true statement that they're the ones investing and actually taking action to reduce emissions, trying to solve problems. Everyone else is just pointing fingers, having Keurig coffees, and texting on their iPhones. And I'm not even trying to be ridiculously exaggerating. That's actually more truth than not. So where I'm getting at is that oil and gas is in a very unique position, in my opinion, to where they can actually invest in public relations. Now, I'm not talking about the political side. I'm actually talking about some real public relations, some creative ways. And this is not me pitching oil and gas for the Earth's Champion, although we are taking sponsors for the Earth's Champion if somebody wants to be a part of the belt process. Anyway, but it's the narrative against oil and gas has gotten so extreme that ridiculous statements like, we need to ban oil and gas, that is an actual ridiculous, insane statement, that there's 2 presidential candidates that are using that as their platform. That's where we're at. And so I think oil and gas really has to start evaluating investing in public relations right now, because they're at a unique position where they can. The environmentalists have gotten extreme. They've gotten extreme to where they're talking about a world that would be the Walking Dead without zombies in 3 days if we got rid of oil and gas. It would. I mean, think about it. That's not a lie. If we banned drilling, I mean, it would be maybe 2 days. It'd be the Walking Dead without zombies. It would be chaos. And
that's exactly what it'd be.
To actually have presidential candidates who are probably the legitimate leaders of their party say that as a platform, I'm sorry, but that is actually crazier than the crazy candidates. That's like the guy that wears the Merlin hat that nobody covers. That's crazier than the stuff he's talking about, making some laws against dragons. I mean, honestly, I think it's in the same category. So I do think the oil and gas industry needs to really examine that this is a unique opportunity to kind of strike back a little bit. And they were damned if they do and damned if they don't for 50 years. You know, they were. And now I think they have a unique opportunity to say, you know what? We're the ones actually saving the planet. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And, it's so easy to point the finger and say you're wrong and you're doing this, this is not what needs to be happening. Okay, so provide solutions, and it just goes, of course, these political leaders are just like management. And one of the management things that I like to talk about with, people I've worked with is, you can sit there and point the finger telling you what you're doing wrong and what you're doing wrong. But how about you provide a solution instead, they want to point the finger and give it to us. And, you guys are wrong. You guys are polluting it. Well, what's your solution? This is what we're doing, and we're doing it the best way and the most environmental way that we can, and we're providing a necessary service. If you want to change it, what's your solution? What's your solution? How about you just work with us and let's get it to where we need to be? But that's the thing, is they don't even know what they're talking about. They're just pointing their fingers and just spewing excrement out of their mouth. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
I know during the DAPL protests, I put all sides on my program as long as they know what they're talking about and they've got and they got real beliefs and yada yada. I tried to interview the protesters. They served me a coffee from a Keurig cup and I left. I just walked right out. I said, "No, thank you. I'm not going to put you guys on my program." Now, I talked to the reporter that got shot by the rubber bullets, and but that's. And back then, I was even saying, folks, we got to be careful here. This is like a war. I mean, the environmentalists have turned it almost into a religion, and so there's a lot of blind faith just moving forward. And the state of North Dakota, they shot rubber bullets and water on people in sub-zero temperature, and then the protesters got disabled war vets on their side. So you got. I mean, I was like, this is like the signs of a war happening here. Now you got the governor in Colorado calling it the war against oil and gas. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know the solution right now. My suggestion, though, is that I believe the industry needs to really reevaluate how they're doing their public relations and also probably step up the investment on it, because it's a real unique time. It's a real unique time to do it. And I don't know if it's just finger pointing back. Maybe that's all it takes is just a finger point back and say, everybody but Ed Begley Jr. is a hypocrite.
Yeah. The best thing you can do is, just show them. Just, learn what we do. Get involved.
Yeah, be classy. You're right.
Yeah, just get involved. Learn what we do. See the things that we provide. Hell, go to the Bakken, go to the Permian, look at our economy, look at how we're doing, look at how everybody comes together and is, united. That's really, you want to look at America, you go to Permian and the Bakken, and that's what America should be, united, as one. And that's exactly what we are. And then, that's what I love about the oil and gas industry. And, I don't know, man.
So where are you at again? Which part of Texas?
I live in Austin, but I'm originally from Odessa.
Okay, so all right, you got that going, and then just real briefly, I'm looking at the clock here, and we should probably wrap her up and talk to me a little bit about you guys are looking for anybody and everybody, obviously, but give yourself kind of a quick overview once again so that people can know more about it's Petrodex, right?
It's thepetrodex.com, yes, sir.
Okay, thepetrodex.com.
Yeah, make sure you put the Petrodex, because if you type Petrodex into like your search engine, it takes you to like dog toothpaste or something. I'm not sure. There's dog toothpaste that exists that they called Petrodex, so that it's thepetrodex.com.
The Petrodex, kind of like the Ohio State University, thepetrodex.com. You got it. Hey, man, we're Texas. We got to talk football. So, okay, we got to at least throw it once in. Hey, North Dakota State, my old alumni, we're 7-time Division II champs, or what? No, it's 1AA now, which I have a hard time accepting that Orwellian NCAA language that everybody's got to have a trophy. We can't have Division I, II, and III. You got to have one AA and one AAA, because everybody's got to be Division I. I don't get it. Anywho,
the product, that's all they do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a plug on your company. Appreciate the time today. You know, your knowledge is needed. You know, these are important conversations we're having right now in the industry, and I think a lot of executives are listening to it right now. To be honest, I know they are actually. Yeah. They email me. So these are the types of conversations that executives want to hear, because there's concern what's going on in the industry right now in a lot of different areas. And some people are really afraid to have the conversation. So I appreciate you coming on and talking openly about it, because, like I said, there's some people that really want to know this information, and there's no right answer right now. They're trying to figure out what the right answer is. And so trying to stay ahead of the problem is a good thing, because who knows, the Colorado issue could come out of nowhere. That happened fast. Yeah,
it did. And then being so political, and of course, you know, we're coming up to another year of where it's going to really, really ramp up with the presidential election. So, you know, we just got to be ready.
You're right. And I've said this for a while, that be careful, because the Colorado could be a template that they try to use other places. You know, I mean, that's what concerned me, was the template feeling I had behind the whole thing. But anyway, let's not get too political, because we're a non-political show, but this is actually a non-political topic, because it is something that is impacting now as part of oil and gas life. And that's even happening like refineries. You know, you take Meridian Refinery, and they've had to spend an extra year and a half revalidating the same information over and over and over again, just because people are like, no, we don't believe that. And like, okay. And same thing. It's like the new normal is this kind of who can hemorrhage the money the longest, the least amount. And anyway, sorry, I've had a lot of interviews today, so I've apparently somebody put a quarter in me. Are you interviewing me? Because I seem to be talking more.
No, I'm going along with it, man. I mean, I agree with everything you're talking about, Jason. I mean, I'm right there with you.
Okay, good. So 100%. Go ahead and give your company a plug before I run out of gas.
Okay, all right. So once again, we are thepetrodex.com, and we are currently right now our test market is in the Permian, and we invite all oil and gas business service companies to come and check us out online. To get posted online, to become a member is 100% free. Like I said, we're kind of a hybrid business directory, business-to-business sales marketplace, and service networking website. So if you're looking for an extra place to get leads, get some exposure, if you're starting out, you know, coming down the Permian and just trying to get your bearings and trying to get dug in and get your business going, the Petrodex is definitely one good place to start. So yeah, check us out. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Tye Juarez. You can also connect with my company on LinkedIn. That's thepetrodex.com. And give us a call. You can reach me at 432-276-0855. And if you have any questions, I mean, I'm more than willing to speak with anyone who's interested.